Tonight, we dive into a crisis shaking the foundations of global finance. Germany and Italy are demanding the return of $245 billion in gold, stored deep beneath New York at the U.S. Federal Reserve. This isn't just about logistics. It's a dramatic signal of eroding trust in America's role as the world's financial guardian. For decades, storing gold in the U.S. symbolized post-war unity and economic stability. Now that trust is unraveling. The catalyst? President Donald Trump's return to the White House and his aggressive America First stance, which has sent shockwaves through Europe. Leaders in Berlin and Rome are asking, is our national treasure truly safe on American soil? This isn't just about gold, it's about sovereignty, power, and the future of global alliances. The scale of this withdrawal is unprecedented, reflecting deep fears that the U.S. might use foreign assets as political leverage. Central bankers see their gold as the ultimate guarantee of sovereignty, and they're no longer willing to leave it in American hands. The post-World War II order, built on trust and U.S. leadership, is showing cracks. These repatriation demands are a direct response to rising economic nationalism and unpredictable U.S. policymaking. As we'll see, this golden ultimatum could be the opening shot in a much larger economic conflict, one that could reshape the global financial landscape for decades. The stakes have never been higher. Why did Germany and Italy store their gold in the U.S. to begin with? The answer lies in the chaos of the 20th century. After 2 world wars, the U.S. emerged as the world's economic superpower, its vaults seen as the safest place on earth. The 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement made the dollar as good as gold, cementing America's central role. Storing gold at the New York Fed offered security and convenience, especially for Cold War Europe, which feared Soviet invasion. The Fed's independence and America's stability made it the world's trusted banker. For decades, this system worked flawlessly, reinforcing a stable, cooperative global order. But the world has changed. The Soviet threat is gone, new powers have risen, and economic risks now come from political unpredictability. The fear isn't invading armies, it's economic coercion and political interference. The idea that a U.S. president could leverage foreign gold was once unthinkable. Now it's a real concern. For Germany and Italy, the old security calculation no longer holds. Trust in the U.S. as a neutral custodian is fading fast. That's why the gold is coming home. The immediate trigger? President Trump's aggressive economic policies, new tariffs up to 20% on EU goods and a shocking 50% on copper, have reignited trade wars and alarmed allies. But it's Trump's attacks on the Federal Reserve's independence that truly rattle Europe. For Germany and Italy, the Fed isn't just a bank, it's the guardian of their national wealth. Trump's public calls for a Fort Knox audit and his skepticism about America's own gold only deepen foreign anxieties. If the U.S. president questions his own gold, why should others trust their reserves are safe? The fear, in a future dispute, Trump could freeze or seize foreign gold as leverage. For Europe, leaving billions in U.S. vaults now looks like an unacceptable risk. Calls for gold repatriation are now mainstream in Europe. In Germany, politicians like Fabio De Masi and Michael Jaeger argue that U.S. political interference is too great a risk. Public skepticism is high, especially after Germany's 2013-2017 gold return, which raised questions about the bar's authenticity. Trump's unpredictability has reignited old fears, making repatriation a political imperative. In Italy, the world's third-largest gold holder, nearly half its reserves sit in the U.S., and economic voices warn that's a dangerous bet. The ruling party once promised to bring the gold home, but now faces mounting pressure as trade tensions escalate. For both countries, gold is more than wealth, it's a symbol of stability and independence. The debate is no longer if, but when to bring it home, and what that means for U.S. relations. The fear, their gold could become a pawn in a larger geopolitical conflict. Europe's patience is running out. Germany and Italy's demands are part of a global trend. Central banks everywhere are bringing gold home. A 2025 World Gold Council survey shows 43% of central banks plan to boost gold holdings this year, a record. Even more telling, 59% now keep gold at home, up from 41% just a year ago. Trust in overseas custodians, especially the US and UK, is fading. Countries are investing in domestic vaults, prioritizing control over convenience. Germany still has over 1,200 tons in New York, Italy 43% of its reserves, but they're not alone. The Netherlands, Austria, Poland, and Hungary have all repatriated gold recently, fueling a domino effect. Each move makes it harder for others to justify leaving gold abroad. This great gold migration is a quiet rebellion against U.S.-centric finance. Central banks are diversifying away from the dollar and U.S. control. It's a slow-motion decoupling from American leadership. The headline is Berlin and Rome, but the real story is global. In uncertain times, nations want their gold at home. There's no substitute for sovereignty. The fallout from Trump's tariffs isn't limited to gold. It's roiling global commodity markets. The 50% copper tariff has disrupted supply chains, driving up costs for industries worldwide. Even U.S. allies like Canada are feeling the pain, with companies pausing investments and jobs at risk. Copper prices are volatile, manufacturers are anxious, and the trade war is playing out in real time. The energy market is also on edge. Oil prices are swinging as traders fear a prolonged US-EU conflict could slow global growth. WTI crude hovers near $67, Brent near $69, caught between supply fears and recession risks. Meanwhile, gold soars to $3,350 an ounce, reflecting global anxiety. Investors and central banks are flocking to gold as the ultimate safe haven. As trust in alliances and institutions wanes, the appeal of physical gold only grows. The message is clear. In a world of tariffs and turmoil, gold is king. The interconnectedness of these markets underscores the stakes of this crisis. As Europe demands its gold, a parallel drama unfolds in the U.S., a push to audit America's own reserves. For the first time in decades, Congress is considering a full, independent audit of gold at Fort Knox and other depositories. Representative Thomas Massey's bill is gaining traction, fueled by public skepticism and conspiracy theories. Questions abound. Is all the gold really there? Has any been leased or swapped? Trump's own calls for a Fort Knox audit have thrust the issue into the spotlight. For foreign nations, this debate only heightens their urgency to repatriate. The credibility of the U.S. dollar and the global financial system rests on trust in America's gold. An audit could reassure the world, but any discrepancies could trigger a crisis far worse than today's. Transparency has never mattered more. Connect the dots: gold demands, trade wars, commodity chaos, and questions about America's own reserves, and a stark reality emerges. The post-war economic order, built on U.S. leadership and trust, is fracturing. Germany and Italy's gold demands are a symptom of a deeper rift. Europe is hedging its bets, seeking independence from the U.S. A large-scale gold repatriation would be a symbolic blow to U.S. prestige and the dollar's central role. If central banks keep buying gold and moving it out of U.S. vaults, the world is diversifying away from the dollar. Tariffs accelerate this fragmentation, forcing nations to build new economic blocks. We're heading toward a multipolar world, less efficient, more volatile, and harder to cooperate on global challenges. The stakes go beyond dollars and gold. They're about global stability and prosperity. The U.S. faces a profound test. Can it lead through trust, or will coercion drive allies away? The gold in New York is now a barometer of global confidence, and it's pointing toward a storm. The choices made in Washington, Berlin, and Rome will shape the world for years to come.